Hello everyone. So the Sephora sale is going to be ending on November 11th, and so what I thought I would do is just do a quick rundown of some of the products that I purchased myself, and I also will be doing a full face of makeup with some of the new products that are being sold at Sephora, so you can see what some of them look like on me. So first, a little bit of information about me. I am 60 years old and I have dry and sensitive skin, and over the past 3 years I've tried more than 1,000 makeup products and skincare products, and so I do have a pretty good basis of comparison for everything that I discuss here on this channel. And for the most part I do prefer a fairly natural and understated makeup look, and I usually try to spend only 5 or 10 minutes a day putting on makeup. And so the goal with makeup is to make me look a little bit fresher and maybe even a little bit younger without exacerbating the look of the wrinkles or other issues on my face, and also without causing my skin any irritation at all, because a lot of products are very irritating for me. And one thing that I have found is that there are certain ingredients that always are irritating for my face, and I know that those tend to be very irritating for many other people as well, so I just don't talk about any products with those ingredients on this channel. And so I did make a list of the products that are available at Sephora that I purchased during the Sephora sale so far, and also during the Creal sale. And so this list does include some products that I am trying for the first time, and some products that I have tried in the past but that I picked up a new shade or two. And also I have some restocks listed here of products that I use all the time and that I needed to purchase again. And then I also made a list of products that I have purchased that are available at Sephora that were released fairly recently over the past few months that I did pick up already, and that in a lot of cases I've already reviewed these, or I might be planning to review them fairly soon. And then I also made a list of a few other products from Sephora that I did consider buying, and that in most cases I did try out at the Sephora store and that I might still try. And then finally, I have some products that were just available at Creal that aren't for sale at Sephora, but in case you're interested in those products, because I do think that a lot of these companies probably will be having Black Friday sales that you might be able to pick them up at a good price. And so now I'm going to put on a full face of makeup using some of the new products that are available at Sephora. So I will start off with the Merit Great Skin Priming Moisturizer. And this one is a fairly thick moisturizer that I feel is particularly appropriate for my skin during the winter months. So it is sort of the consistency, I think, of the traditional Bobbi Brown face-based product, but that one has a lot of essential oils and other ingredients in it that do irritate my face, and so far this one has been fine for me. I did hear from at least one person that said that their skin was irritated by this, but so far I've been okay with it anyway. And I think that the good thing about this product is that it does allow me to have a good moisturizer on my face, a little bit more of a moisturizer than a lot of products give me, but to still have a really nice base that works well with a variety of different kinds of makeup. And then next I think I will put on just a little bit of color corrector, and for this I will put on the color corrector from Caliray, which is called Hideaway, and it is in the shade Warm Sunglow. And I think that this is a fairly nice product, and it was released maybe 4 or 5 months ago, I think. And my experience has been that, generally speaking, I haven't done all that well with color correctors or concealers that are in liquid form, that they tend to emphasize the texture that is under my eyes. But I think that this one is pretty good, and that it seems to be part of the new generation of concealers that are out there that do a lot better in terms of not making my wrinkles look a lot worse. So I am happy about that. I still think that it probably is the case that the Bobbi Brown color correcting stick or the Jones Road neutralizer pencils, I still feel like they work a little bit better for me, but this one is not too bad. And then I will use a little bit of the Saie Lip Tint Concealer as both an eyelid primer and then on my face, and then I'll put a little bit of that under my eyes as well. So this is a concealer that again was released I think during the spring, and at first I was just using it as an eyelid primer, as I've used many different concealers over time, and I think that it was working well for that. But then when I would try experimenting by putting it on my face, I felt like that was actually working surprisingly well for that as well. And then since then there have been a couple of really expensive concealers that have been released. The one from Westman Atelier and also the one from Sarah Creal, and I think that those are both very good also, but they are more expensive just in general, and then also per ounce than this one. And I really think that this one is at least close to being as good as those, and maybe just as good. And so what I generally just do is just to dab some on and to kind of rub it in with my fingers, and then later on I will go on with a brush and kind of smooth it out. And then I just put a little dab on each of my eyes so as a primer for the eyeshadow that I will put on. And this is the Everything brush by Jones Road, which I kind of like. And so I will just use that to kind of buff the concealer into my face so that it is a little bit smoother and doesn't have any patchiness to it. And then usually I would stop with this, especially if I wasn't going to be doing anything on camera. I think this is probably enough coverage for me. But because I have a product to demonstrate, I will go ahead and put on that as well. And so what I have is the new foundation from Huda, which is called Easy Blur, and this usually comes in a 1 ounce container, but I actually got this one ordering it from Huda from their website, and this is I think about 1/3 of an ounce, so it's really tiny, but it actually has quite a bit of product in here, and so far I've been actually really liking this product. So I don't know if I'll ever like it enough to need to buy a full size of this, but I do think that it has worked surprisingly well for me so far. So I will just put a little bit of this on the back of my hands, and then I will just rub it in with my fingers. So I'm not going to use a whole lot. I'm just going to try to do a little bit of blending so that my complexion is just a little bit more even, but I don't think I really need to cover anything up. I'm just trying to even things out a little bit. So I will just dab on some of this. Now this is supposed to have a primer that you can use with it, and supposedly that will give you a nicer finish, but I think that this has worked well on its own, and I haven't felt it necessary to buy that primer yet in order to get a nice look with it. And I have found that even if I don't use it over something like the Merit Priming Moisturizer, I still think that it is working fine for me. But I haven't had a chance to try out the primer yet, and so it's possible that it would be even better with the primer. I'd like to give that a try at some point if they have that on display at the store. And they did have this one on display at the store, so I was able to go in and see which shade was right for me. And the shade that I ended up purchasing was Cashew. And one thing about buying from the Huda website is that they also are selling an unscented version of their really popular loose powder, which is called Easy Bake. And so if you're interested in that particular product, then I am happy that they have an unscented version available now, because a lot of people do really like that. Now that does have talc in it, so if you're concerned about talc, then that would definitely not be one for you, because obviously with the loose powder you could conceivably breathe that in. But I did go ahead and buy that anyway at the same time that I bought this foundation, and I think that both of these are really nice products, so I've been kind of impressed. I've never found anything else from Huda in the past that I had much success with, but these are both really nice products, I think. However, Sephora only stocks the version that has the fragrance in it, and so therefore I'm going to use a different kind of powder. And what I will use is the fairly new Makeup by Mario setting powder, which I found to be really, really nice. And I think that this product is particularly good if I am using a foundation that has a lot of oil in it, but even this one, which isn't too greasy, I think that having a powder that's just a little bit oil absorbing has been nice. And I think that this is such a finely milled powder, and I do think it's fairly versatile, and so even if I don't have really any foundation on my face, I still have found this to be fairly good. And I purchased this in a somewhat darker shade that is called, I think, some kind of peach, and I think that this has been fine for me. It's a little darker than my skin tone, but I don't mind that in a powder. And I'm just using a little bit more powder than I would use a lot of the time, because I think that this foundation does have a bit of a glow to it. And especially with that priming moisturizer under it, I think that having a little bit of powder like this on the top of it is kind of nice. And generally speaking, I don't put very much powder under my eyes unless they really are seeming to need it. And I think that most of the concealers that I end up using do tend to not be real greasy, and I think that that's better for me. And one thing that I will say that is a little bit unfortunate is that there isn't any way to close this for travel, and so I ended up getting a whole lot of powder up here just by kind of carrying it around my house kind of carelessly. And so that is one negative about this, but I think the powder is a really nice product. And then generally what I do after that is to just kind of rub my face with my hands a little bit just to kind of loosen it up. And from what I've heard, this is a trick that Bobbi Brown often does too, if she doesn't want the makeup to look too undisturbed. And if you loosen it up a little bit, I think it does look a little more natural. And so now in terms of my eyebrows, I actually have two different eyebrow pencils that I thought I would compare against one another. So the first one is from Glossier, and this is called the Boy Brow Arch, and this was released a couple of months ago, and I have tried this a little bit just in the store, but I actually just got this pencil, and so I'm trying it out for the first time on camera here. And then the other pencil that I have is one that I used quite a bit over the past year, and this one is from Kosas, and this is called the Brow Pop Nano. And so this one is one that I have used quite a bit, and I actually happen to have this brand new one that I just got. I actually made a mistake, and I had planned to order this larger version, which I have actually think I liked a little bit better, or at least I feel more comfortable with that one. But I made a mistake and I ordered this little one, and I think that's okay because I think that we can compare that against this Boy Brow Arch and see which one works out best for me, at least today. And so I will do the Boy Brow Arch on one of my eyebrows, and then I will do the Kosas one on the other brow. And so this is a fairly small pencil, and I did find that it seemed to be working okay for me in the store, but whether or not it works okay today is another question. Now, I did actually purchase the new Merit brow pencil that is called 1990, I think. I purchased that one. That is another nano pencil like this. And that one actually seemed to be okay in the store, but when I got it, the one home, it actually didn't work for me at all. It broke several times, and it didn't really seem to go on my eyebrows very well. And so I kind of gave up on that one. I looked at it in the store, and the one in the store also seemed to be breaking. So I just feel like that one is a little bit on the delicate side, and that maybe it's too delicate for me, and it's also quite expensive on a per gram basis compared to all the other pencils. So I'm not sure I'm going to buy that one again. And I would say that this pencil tip is a lot skinnier, and the one from Glossier is not quite as thin. So I will compare them for you. And so they actually are quite different sorts of tips. So the one on the Brow Pup, it's actually just kind of pointed, and the one from Glossier, it's more like a slant, it looks like to me. And I guess if I look at these, they're not looking too bad. They're not looking really natural. I wouldn't want to stop here. I feel like I do need to put on a brow gel over them to get a natural look. But I don't think that they worked out too badly for me. And in terms of the brow gel, I did buy a new brow gel from Kosas in my usual shade, which is taupe, but I haven't opened that yet. It looks like this though. And the one that I have here is just a little mini that I got as a free sample from Creal using my points. And this has actually been a product that I've used quite a few times so far, and I think that even in this little mini version, it doesn't work too badly. But I am happy to have the new version that I can open up pretty soon. And I think that as brow gels go, that this is probably almost my favorite. I think that the one that works better than this for me is the one from Jones Road, and that when I use that one, it really does give me a look of having a quite substantial brows, because it does a really good job of taking every tiny little peach fuzz hair that I have and making it look like it's a real brow hair. And this one also is doing this, just not quite as well, but I think that's fairly real looking. And then this Glossier one does have a little spoolie on the end, so I can just brush them a little bit. Not that they really need it. I still don't really have enough brow hairs to need to brush them very much. And on my lips as a moisturizer, I did buy this Creal one. It's called The Adults Are Talking. It's just a lip balm, and I put on some of this earlier today, but I'll just put on a little bit more of this right now just to kind of moisturize my lips. I do think it's going on a little bit thicker than many of the lip balms that I have used. And so far, just using it over the past couple days, I think it's quite nice. And that one does have a little bit of lactic acid in it, and I think that the idea with that is that it's supposed to be exfoliating your lips a little bit, and so that they are able to absorb the moisturizers and the lip balm a little bit better, and I think that my lips have been fine with it so far. And the palette that I thought that I would use as an eyeshadow is a new one that is from Makeup Forever. And Makeup Forever is a brand that I haven't really used in the past because most of their products either have fragrance or other ingredients in them that are problematic for me. But these little eyeshadow palettes, these do not seem to have any problematic ingredients in them at all. And when I've experimented with this product in the store, it seemed to be fine on my eyes. So I thought that I would give it a try. And I think it's very cute in terms of the cover, because this is actually a raised pieces that are attached to here, so it actually looks like the palette on the inside, so you can tell right away what is on the inside of this palette, which I think is really a nice thing. And this is called Wherever Walnut, and I think that these are very pretty colors. I usually don't do all that well with purples, I don't feel like, but in this case I think that the shades in here are so wearable and so kind of grungy that they actually do seem to be working well on me so far. And as you can see, it contains 3 shades that are kind of on the shimmery side. This one at the bottom here, I didn't realize it was quite so blue, but I think it's going to be a little bit more bluish, which I think is actually a good thing. And then the other 2 colors seem to be neutral, mushroomy type colors that are leaning kind of taupe. And then there are 3 matte shades. And I don't usually use this kind of shade that much, but we'll see what I can do in terms of how many of these shades I can use. And just to give this palette a little bit of a go, I won't do exactly the same look on both eyes. I'll try to do something a little different, and if it ends up looking strange, then we'll try to fix it. So I think that I will do, I'll just use this shimmer as a base to start out with on one of my eyes, and we'll see what that looks like. And oh, I think this is a very, very pretty color, and I think that I think I should be able to get a lot of use out of this. And I don't feel like it has that super blendability that for instance, the YSL palettes that I like so much have. But I think that it seems to be going on especially nicely, and in terms of the palette itself, I think this is so cute in terms of being small, in terms of having these colors on the top of it, that I really like the packaging much more than I personally like the YSL ones. And I don't think it's going to top the YSL in terms of the formula, but I really like the way it's going on a lot. That is a perfectly fine one and done as far as I'm concerned. That's really, really cute. And so in that case, let's try one of the other colors on the other eye just to see if we think that there's much of a difference. So I'll try this one here, and we'll just put it all over my lid, and we'll see if that looks any different. Oh, this one's more shimmery. So this one has kind of a silveriness to it. And I am very happy that none of these have any aluminum powder in them. And when I tried this on in the store, it didn't irritate my eyes at all. And I'm just really so happy so far. These are really quite lovely. Wow. I've heard almost no one talk about this particular eyeshadow palette, and I think that people are really missing out. And so that's a very nice shimmer, and I think I will use these other darker shades as kind of a way to just add a little bit of darkness in the corner. Let's see how this works. So I'm going to put a little bit of this reddishness, just a little bit like here, just to give it a little tiny bit of dimension. So I think that this silvery color here and then this one that's a little bit more bluish, I think that those could work well together. So I'm going to put a little bit of this like this. And I am thinking that this is really lovely. And then this does have a little mirror here, a perfectly adequate mirror as far as I'm concerned. So I will try using that to just blend this together a little bit. And I think that's really terrific. I really, really like it. And I don't really see any reason to use any other eyeshadow as far as I'm concerned, but I will just use a little bit of this color just to see what it's like. And we'll put a little bit of it on this eye, I guess. I feel like the mattes and the shimmers are all blending really well, and that regardless of how sort of randomly I'm putting it on, it's really not looking bad to me. And this white color here, I don't usually use this very much. And I don't usually put eyeshadow up here. I usually leave that alone. But I try putting just a little bit of it like as a corner highlight, just to kind of brighten that area up a little bit. And I think to make just a nice everyday eyeshadow look, that this is actually quite nice. So if I wanted to do something a little bit stronger, then I think you could do that. But for the kind of eyeshadow looks that I think are nice on me, this is actually really good. Let's see if we can get a little bit more drama, slight drama. And that's just more of the same color that I started out with. I really like this, and I think that I am going to get a surprising amount of use out of this because it is such a small and convenient palette, and I always know what is in it. So even if it's in my makeup bag or on the counter, I can zero in on this really fast, which I think is a really nice packaging idea. Very good, very impressive. And then I thought that I would also demonstrate another new eye product, which is an eyeliner from Yves Saint Laurent, and this is called Lines Liberated, I guess, and it is in a bronzy type of a shade, and I have tried this on already, and I haven't felt like it has irritated my eyes at all, and the ingredient list does look good to me, and I do tend to be really limited in terms of the eyeliners that I have been able to use. Most of them either don't perform very well or they do irritate my eyes, and I'm happy that this one does not seem to be irritating my eyes at all, and I do like the way it's performed. So I'll just put a little bit of this on, and this is just the bronze color, so you're not going to get a lot of drama from this. It's more just adding a little more shimmeriness to the look. But I do like this one enough that I think I'm going to buy the brown one and maybe one of the others as well. And so I don't usually mess with my waterline because my eyes are so delicate, but I will just put a little bit of it on as like an eyeliner underneath my eyes and along the top. And I think that there's already so much shimmer in this look that this is not adding a lot to it. It was functioning a lot better when I was just using it on its own. But I do have a lot of hope for the brown color or for some of the other colors. And so I do feel like I want to buy one of those other ones right now. But I think it looks nice. It's kind of muted, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. And then this does have a little smudging brush on the end of this. And so I will go in and just try to smudge it a little bit just to soften it up a little. And in general, I've had a lot of success with the YSL line. Now, unfortunately, they're lip products, which people really like. They all do seem to have fragrance in them, and people do seem to suggest that the fragrance is pretty strong. But in terms of the other products, most of them seem to be fragrance-free, and a lot of them seem to not have other ingredients in that are problematic, and they all seem to be performing very well, so I'm really happy about that. And so now let's think about blush, and one of the blush products that I just bought is a special edition from Haus Labs. So it is just 2 of their regular full-size products available at a lower price. And so it has a blush that is a powder blush, and then there is one of their blush sticks. And the powder blush is in a shade that is a little bit more on the neutral type of a side. And this is the shade Hibiscus Haze. And I tried this on in the store, and this is a fairly easygoing color for me. And this is a color that I've really wanted for quite a while. If I was thinking that I was going to buy one more shade of these blushes because I do like them so much. And so I went ahead and picked this one up. And the blush stick is actually a considerably brighter color. And so that is a color that I probably wouldn't have picked if I went into the store and just picked out one more color of these. But I do really like the formula in the product that I have already. I have one that's kind of like a peach shade. And so I did try this in the store, and I feel like this is one of those blush colors that I actually can use because it provides like a little bit of a pop of color that can really emphasize my look if I'm not if I can blend it out a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And so I will start by putting on a little bit of this powder blush. And again, this is a very pigmented formula, and all of the colors, even the ones that look like they should be not too strong, they're all very, very pigmented. So I have to be really, really gentle with this. So I have this brush from the Sephora collection. This is brush number either 66 or 99, and it's just a tiny little blush brush, and try to just go really gentle with this and see how it goes. And this one doesn't seem to be too dark. This may be actually the lightest color that they make, even more lighter than the peach one. So let's not put too much of it on. Oh, look how pretty that color is too. I really like it. All right. Now the good thing about this formula is that it is very soft. It's really almost soft enough that you could put it on with your fingers. Now I think that it would be a mistake for me to do that because I might get on too much of it. But the good thing is that especially if I'm wearing a foundation, that I can just kind of blend it in after I put it on with the brush. And so I'm not too concerned about putting on too much. And I did get a lot of it on there, I think. But I think that we'll see if it settles down there before I put any more blush on. But I do think that this color is really, really pretty on me anyway. I'm glad I picked this one up just for this powder blush, if nothing else. And so for my lipstick, I'm going to use one of the new Nars lipsticks. So these are called the Explicit lipsticks, and they are a satin formula, and they are in refillable packaging. And so I have 2 shades already, and then I have another one that I ordered that is coming. So the shades that I have here on the top, I have one that is called Rendezvous, and then on the bottom I have one that is called Body Heat. And so these lipsticks are in refillable packaging, and so the way that this works is that you can take off this cap from the main packaging, and then you can pull this out, and then you have another cap that you can put on there for storage, and then pop in the other one, and then put the lid on. And so it's fairly easy to switch them out. Now, whether I'm going to get much use out of them in terms of switching them out, I don't know. I tend to forget about things when they're not right in front of me. But I do think that the savings here is substantial. So the price for the full-size lipstick, including the case, is $40, but the refills are $25. And so I think that that's a pretty good savings. And so I might switch it on like a seasonal basis. But it is the case that you can't use this unless it's actually in the lipstick, because you can't make it go up. So if it's not in the actual holder, then it's not really usable, which is really different from the Lisa Eldridge lipsticks, because with those, you actually can use the refills on their own, even if you don't have the case. So I actually purchased another product from Creal, which is a lip primer. So this is supposed to, I think, make your lipstick last a little bit longer. It is called Lip Grip. And so why don't I just go ahead and put a little bit of that on, and then we'll see how long it lasts as I sit here and talk and finish the video. And I do think that after I've tried out these products over the past day or 2, that these have not irritated my lips at all, and they feel fine, they taste fine, and so I am happy about that. And whether or not they make my lipstick last a little bit longer, I still need to do some more experimentation with that. And in terms of lip pencils, I think the one that has been released the most recently is the one from Saie, and this one is called Lip Liner 101, and I have this in the color Flirt. And so I will go ahead and put that on before I put on the lipstick. And I feel like there's a fairly strong scent to this, but after looking at the ingredient list and thinking about it, I think it's probably just because this is a real wood pencil and I'm smelling the wood from the pencil. And so I don't really object to that, and I don't feel like it has been really irritating, but I definitely am noticing the smell, and I think it is from the wood. And I think I will use the shade Rendezvous, so I'll put on a little bit of that right now. And I do really, really like the way these lipsticks feel. That is why I have 3 of them so far, because they do taste good, they feel good, they last pretty well. Now, I certainly wouldn't say that they last anywhere near as long as the Nars Power Matte lipsticks or the Nars Power Matte lip crayons. They're not really designed for that. But I think that for a satin lipstick that feels as good as this one, that they have lasted pretty well. And now I will try putting on just a little bit of this Anastasia Beverly Hills liquid blush. And so I have this in the color Guava. And so I will just, I don't know if you need to shake it or not, but I will just put a small amount of it on the back of my hand here, and then I will dot it on my face, and then if I need to brush it in with a brush, then I will do that next. So let's just put a little bit of this on, and I think that's quite pretty, and I feel like it held up pretty well for me when I wore it the other day. And I think that with that blush already on my cheeks, it will be easy to get carried away, but I kind of like layering cream blush and powder blush together. I think that the look that you get is a little bit more refined and kind of natural, usually more natural than if you're just using powder blush. And I definitely have blushed a lot more than I intended now, so I think that you've got to be really careful with this. But so let's try just doing this a little bit and see what we can do. See if we can pick up a little bit of that and move it around. And then this may be a crazy thing to do, but let's just try putting a tiny little pop, like for the dull cheek type of a thing. See how this goes. Just put a little bit of this here. Well, I think all three of these are very pigmented blush, and so therefore it was kind of not very wise for me to use all three of these together. I think if I had started out with one of the Kosas blushes and then I had added one of these over the top of that, then that would probably be enough blush for me. But I think that I think if I wait for a few minutes, it'll kind of even itself out. And then finally, I have a new product from Kulfi, which is called Lassi Lips, which is a lip oil. And this has gotten a lot of positive reviews from people. And so I thought that I would just put on a tiny little bit of this over this lipstick from Nars just to see what it's like. And I have the color Caramel. And I think this one does taste okay. And I think if I just put it on my naked lips, it is not too bad, but I think over this lipstick is not too bad as well. I'll just use a little bit of powder over the top of this, and hopefully that will take it down a little bit more. And of course, there are lots of people on YouTube that will use this much blush all the time on camera. I probably wouldn't go out with this much blush on, but we'll see how it fades into my face as we do the rest of the video. And so now let's talk about my other Sephora purchases that I have made recently, either during the sale or things that are available that are kind of hot products that I purchased right before the sale. And I also will talk a little bit about the products from Sephora that I considered purchasing, but that I actually haven't purchased yet. So first of all, I'll talk about skincare, and one product that I actually did purchase is a new moisturizer that is from the company Lion Pose, and this is a product that is called Pep Talk, and it is a really moisturizer that does not have any ingredients in it that I really think should be problematic for me. And this does have a lot of peptides in it, and I feel like I've become a fan of peptides, especially since I've had good experiences with the Augustinus Butter Cream. And so that product is $54 for a usual, I think it's 1.7 ounces. And so I think that that's a fairly good deal considering the quality of the ingredients that are on the list. So I am looking forward to receiving that. And so far I have tried from Lion Pose their sunscreen, which is called Ghostbuster, and I do think that that has worked out really well for me, and actually did a whole video on that. And so I was definitely interested in buying some more products from that company, and I did get this little sample of a product of theirs that is called Unspotted, which has pretty strong AHAs in it, and it's supposed to be for taking care of dark spots on your face. And I thought that I would give it a try, and I don't feel like this has been irritating to me when I've used it, like on my chin and along my jawline where I tend to have some bumps. And so I do feel kind of enthusiastic about this line, and so hopefully that moisturizer will be a good one also. And Sephora is offering a little trial size kit that you can purchase that has a third of an ounce of their sunscreen and a third of an ounce of this unspotted product. So this is half of that amount, I think. And that is costing $29. So I think if you just want to try those products to see if your skin reacts to them, that could be a good product to consider. And a couple more skincare products that I picked up are two from Drunk Elephant. So one of those is the Lippy Balm, and I have decided that I do really like that product and that it has been good for my lips. And so I picked up a new one of that because I was almost out. And I have been trying the TLC Framboos Night Serum, which has glycolic acid and BHA in it. And I have decided that I actually do really like that product. It is one of the few AHA type products that I have tried that has not been irritating. It doesn't have a lot of other kinds of ingredients such as scents that are bothersome for me, and I've been using it primarily on my jaw and my chin because there tend to be some bumps there. So I have been finding that has been a good product in order to address that without causing me undue irritation. Now, another skincare product that I picked up just at the Sephora store was this hyaluronic acid product from the Enki list. So what I am doing right now is comparing the hyaluronic acid product that is in the Barbasturm line, because that one is very, very expensive, and I thought that I would just compare it against some other hyaluronic acid products, and I don't think I've tried this one from the Enki list. So I thought I would give it a try because this one is only $10 for this little bottle. And then another product that I am probably going to buy is from The Ordinary, and they have a little mini discovery set for $29 that includes a variety of different products. And I've really only tried a couple of products from The Ordinary so far, and I feel like that is a very popular skincare line, so I should evaluate that one, so I should really pick that up. And then I have been thinking that I needed to purchase some more Augustina Spada Rich Cream, but I kind of don't think I'm going to have to. I think I have enough of that from previous sales that have been at Sephora, so I'm going to probably wait on that. But the product that I would buy if I were going to buy one, it would be the Rich Cream Duo for $295. And the reason for that is because I think that is a brand new product to the marketplace, and so I feel like that one is likely to be fresher, and I think that that can only be a good thing to have products that are as fresh as possible. And then I'm still thinking about the Dr. Barbara Stern Advent Calendar for $560, but I do think that if you're going to use Barbara Stern products, that is probably the right one to purchase. And the more that I have used the Barbara Stern products over the past several weeks, the more that I have liked them, and so I'm going to give it a few more days and keep thinking about it, but I may actually spring for that one because I have really been liking these products a lot. And then in terms of hair care, I purchased this product from Ceremonia, and this is called a scalp massager, and it costs $16. And what I have found is that this actually does have a particular feeling on my scalp that seems like it is more likely to do something than if I just rub my scalp with my fingers, and it actually feels pretty good. I feel like it has the potential of tangling up my hair, so I'm not sure how to make sure that doesn't happen, but I do think that this is supposed to be something that is supposed to help with hair growth in combination maybe with some other products that you might be using to promote hair growth, and so I thought I would at least give this a try. And I've been thinking about hairstyling products to use in between washing my hair on days that I didn't wash my hair. And so I have been wondering which ones to purchase, and one that I decided to purchase from Sephora is the Dry Bar Baby Brush Crush Heated Brush, which is just a very small heated brush that seems to get fairly good reviews that I thought I could use for my bangs and just when I need just a little tiny bit of styling. My hairdresser suggested a flat iron, and so I looked a little bit at flat irons, and I think that considering how delicate my hair is, I need something that is as gentle on it as possible. And so from what I have learned, I think I would do best with one that is ceramic rather than titanium, and also one that does have an adjustable heat, so I can turn it down as low as I can and still get any styling from it, and also one that preferably has some decent reviews. And the one that I found that I think seems to meet these criteria best is the Bondi Boost Flat Iron for $119. And I did notice that on Amazon right now, the price of it that they are selling it for is actually less than I would be paying if I purchased it on Sephora at the deal. And I think it might be that this is the kind of product that you can get at a really good price over Black Friday. I wouldn't be surprised. So I might wait to for Black Friday for that product. But I do think I'm going to buy that one unless someone tells me that I should buy something else. And in terms of fragrance, I tried the new 7 Virtues Candied Lychee product from when I was at Sephora the other day, and I thought that was very nice. So some of the 7 Virtues products that they have released recently I haven't liked at all, and I think it's because they are putting synthetic fragrance in some of them. But this Candied Lychee one actually smelled quite nice to me, and so you can get a travel size of that for $32. Usually I like to try a fragrance a few times before I actually buy it. And I don't know if I'll do that with this one or not. Recently I've been using the RMS perfume that is called Scarlet Moon, which is also a 100% natural perfume. And I do really like that one, and so I'm not feeling really motivated to buy something else, but I'm really interested in this Candied Lychee one, so I might buy that one right now as well. And then in terms of primers, I do think that the Merit Priming Moisturizer is a really good one. The other primer that is really recently released is the one from Nars, which is called the Light Reflecting Primer for $49. And I feel like that one did emphasize the wrinkles on my face and make them look worse, so that was kind of discouraging, unfortunately. Now, in terms of foundations, in addition to the Huda one, LYS has a new foundation stick, and so I did pick this up, and I am thinking that I'm going to do a whole video on LYS pretty soon, so I will be trying out that foundation stick for that video. And then I also have been really liking this Patrick Ta foundation, and in the last video that I did on the Best of Sephora, I did put this on camera, so if you're interested in this one, then I would take a look at that video. But I have been really liking it, and I think that especially for mature skin and dry skin and also sensitive skin maybe, that this has been a really nice product for me, especially if I use it in conjunction with a setting spray like the Makeup by Mario setting spray. And in terms of concealers, as I say, the Saie concealer I think has been really underestimated, and people aren't talking about that nearly enough. And I myself have talked about the Westman Atelier concealer and the Sarah Creal concealer, and I think that both of those are good, but I actually think that the Saie concealer is pretty much exactly the same as the others. I don't necessarily think it's better, but I think it may be just about as good, and it is certainly less expensive. But I think all 3 of those, as liquid concealers go, that those have been really terrific. On the other hand, the biggest disappointment in terms of concealers that have been released recently that people are still talking about is this one from Farah Halmidi, and I just tried putting this on again today to make sure that it didn't miraculously start to work better for me, and I think this one looks really terrible under my eyes. It really is emphasizing the texture when I put it on, and when I put it on other parts of my face, if I'm putting it on like a little spot, like maybe here on my cheek, it's not too bad, but I think it's also slightly irritating. And so this is inspiring me to make a video that is called something like Concealers I Love, Concealers I Hate, because this one is one that it costs $88, and I think it's been such a disappointment for me, unfortunately. And then usually I do really like Kulfi products, but I did try on their concealer at Sephora, and I think that probably for most people that are considerably younger than I am, that's probably a very nice concealer. But for me, I do feel like it is pretty much equivalent to all the other liquid concealers that I have tried prior to the 3 that I'm liking now. That it's really emphasizing texture and not one that I really should be using. And I did put some on my eyelids, and it worked okay as an eyelid primer. more. So at least it is gentle, but I wouldn't buy it to put on my face because of the texture issue. And in terms of powders, I do think that the Makeup by Mario powder is the one that I have liked the most that has been released recently. It is the case that Kosas, which has a formula that I really like, they came out with 3 new shades. And so I picked up this one in the candy shade. And I think that this powder is really not that pink, and it is actually more like a white powder. So it's supposed to be brightening, and I think it absolutely is making my skin look lighter, which is not usually what my goal is when I use a powder or when I use a pink powder. What I'm hoping for with the pink powder is that it will give it a really light dusting of pink sort of more diffusely on my face to make me look a little bit healthier, like I have more blood flow to my skin. And I feel like this one is really just lightening. So I think I can find a way to use it because I like this formula so much, but in terms of the shade, I would be much better off sticking with my usual feathery shade. And then Tower 28 is a new powder line, and they do have one that is pink, and so I purchased this one because I really want to do a video on pink powders. And this one I think is very similar to the Kosas one. It's really not all that pink, and it is supposed to be brightening. And I also don't really like the formula for this powder, so I think that it is much more drying. It has, I think, kale and clay pretty high up on the ingredient list, and I think it's not really that appropriate for my skin. And I think that it's also not as finely milled as, for instance, the Kosas powder. So I think it's just not that great of a powder in general, probably for anyone, but especially for me. I just don't think it's working very well. And then LYS has a new powder, and this is a loose powder, and it's also available in this pink shade. And I'm interested in doing a video on LYS, and I'm interested in doing a video on pink powders, so I did pick this one up, and it's not very expensive at any rate. And in terms of setting sprays, both Makeup by Mario and Nars, they both released new setting sprays, which are terrific. I really do like both of those. I did pick up both of those recently. The Nars one seems to have a little bit of a problem with the spray nozzle that I need to figure out, and the Makeup by Mario one has been working really, really well for me. And especially with something like that Patrick Ta foundation, I think this has been a really successful purchase. Now, in terms of blush, in addition to the blushes I already talked about, I picked up this blush product from Tom Ford. So it is actually half dewy highlighter and half a kind of a muted blush. And I think that both of these are really, really pretty. I will put on some of this dewy highlighter on my face. I don't know that I need any more blush at all that is going to give pigment, but in terms of this one, I think a little bit of a dewiness on my face could be an okay thing at this point. And I think that this is actually a really nice product, and I think if you want a blush that looks really, really natural, that this could be a good combination. And I'm going to try this on in another video and try to focus on that, because I do think it's a really pretty product. It is $100 for those 2 blushes, but I have really liked it, experimenting with it just a tiny bit so far. And then Makeup by Mario has a line of blushes that are called Soft Pop Blush Veil, and in the past all of them have been really muted, and even though I really like a muted blush, the one that I had from them seemed to be very, very muted for me. But now they came out with some ones that are brighter colors, and I just kind of like this color, which is called Strawberry Sunset. And so I picked this up, and I'm not going to put this on right now, but I do think that this is a light enough pigment color that I can use this on my face, and it does look pretty. And I tried it a couple times at the store, and I thought this was a way for me to move into a blush that is a little bit more on the pinkish red side without it being really overwhelming for my face. And I do really like the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Blush ones and light ones, and so they have this set that has 2 of these. One is the matte one and one is the glowy one, and they're both in the color Pillow Talk. And I felt like I really needed to get a new one of both of these because eventually I think that they probably become unsanitary with this little sponge on the top. And so this one is a lot smaller, but it has a sort of a full-size sponge on it, and I thought that this would probably be enough blush for me to get some good use out of it. And the price is like $30, so I don't think that's a bad price at all. And then previously I purchased 3 shades of the Blushes Life, and so I purchased one more, and so I have all of the lighter shades now, and the ones that are brighter I think I will forego. I don't think I really need those, but I have been really enjoying those Kosas blushes. And then other blush that I picked up recently are the Caliray Blurry Blush, and so I'm thinking I'll do a whole video on Caliray, and I'll talk about that in that video. And then I have the Westman Atelier Baby Cheeks Blush Trio and the Westman Atelier Petite Fête Edition, and I did a whole video on those, so you can look for that video. And then blushes that I looked at and I haven't purchased yet anyway. I tried the YSL Make Me Blush. I thought that the shade that was the most muted was kind of nice. That one is $39. I am hoping that YSL will have a really good value in terms of their website before the end of the year, like for Black Friday, and so I may pick up their new eyeshadow quad and that blush at that time, maybe. But it is a nice blush, but I don't know that I have to have it necessarily. And Nars, I tried their Pure Luxury Face and Eye Palette, and what I felt with that one is that the colors were really nice, and I think that of the palettes that Nars has done recently, that is actually a really, really nice palette that would work really well on my skin tone. But I feel like even for me, it is so difficult to pick up those shades on a brush or even on my fingers that it's going to be really challenging to get much of a look with that. And it is $60 minus the discount if I buy it at the Sephora. And so I think that I might skip that one. Now, Nars does have a new eyeshadow palette that they just released on their site, and I'm a little bit more interested in that eyeshadow palette. And then Ilia, I tried their Ethereal Baked Face Palette, and that one performs better in terms of it being picked up on a brush, but I wasn't that crazy about the shades that were in the light palette, and I think that the one that's in the medium palette is a little too dark for me. But I do think that the formula for that product is really, really lovely. It's really finely milled, and it does go on really nicely. And so if you like the colors in that palette, I think it could be really fun to use. And so I think that that is why the lightest shade seems to be sold out on both the Sephora site and on the Ilia site. And I'm not so sure they're going to get that back into stock, but maybe eventually they will introduce some more products in that formula, because the formula is very, very good. And then I looked at the Makeup by Mario Mini Sculpt and Pop on the Go, which has a blush stick and a bronzer stick, and I would never use that bronzer stick because it's really just a contour stick, and I don't like to contour my face. And the blush stick might be okay, but you know, I've heard enough complaints with that formula that it tends to go moldy, that makes me really wary about using it at all. I've heard much better things about this formula, and I haven't had any problems with the one that I have, and so I'm a little more likely to stick to that. And then in terms of bronzers and highlighters, I really am liking still the Charlotte Tilbury Unreal Foundation Stick as a highlighter. I think that's an excellent, excellent highlighter that I've really enjoyed. And then other products that I've purchased that are more like a glowy highlighter are the IT Cosmetics Sun Blush and the Peter Thomas Roth Collagen Bounce Stick. Other products that I looked at Sephora but decided not to buy are the Ilia Sunshift Bronzer and their Light Shift Highlighter. I tried this again when I went back to the Sephora store, and again, I think it might be an okay product, but I don't feel like it is nearly as good as many of the other products that I have, including especially the Charlotte Tilbury one. And it is quite expensive. It's not quite as expensive as the Charlotte Tilbury product, but it's really getting up there, and so if you don't really like it, then I don't know that this is a product that's worth buying. And I also looked at the Dior Backstage Glow Face Palette in the shade 006, which is Celestial Glow, and that does have a little bit of glitter in it. I would be able to wear it, and it does have kind of a holiday look, but it is a little tiny bit glittery. And in terms of eyeshadows, I picked up this one from Kulfi, and this is a new shade which is called Sona Sona, and it is really gold and glittery, and I really like this in the store, and so hopefully I will like it here. And I'm losing all my light, but this is a very shiny eyeshadow, but it is a really pretty shade of gold, and I do really like the way that this looks. So I will try this again on maybe some kind of a holiday look that I do on camera. And I purchased a new shade of the Nars Total Seduction eyeshadow stick. So I have the 3 shades that are light, and I think all 3 of those are really pretty. And I picked up the Natasha Denona Mini Baby I Need a Nude, and that one I think is sold out on Sephora. I haven't seen it get restocked, but I think it is really pretty, and I think that the colors are very nice, and I think that that should still be available on the Natasha Denona website for Black Friday, so I will try to do that one before that happens. And I also picked up the Natasha Denona I Need a Warm palette, and I featured that in my video on the Best of Sephora. I did like it very much. And I also have the Golden palette, which I also like very much. I need to do a comparison of those. I picked up the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes Moonlight palette, which is also very, very nice. And YSL has some new eyeshadows in the shades Overbrun and Over Noir, and both of those are really nice, and I featured those in my video on YSL palettes a couple months ago. And I also am interested in the Patrick Ta Major Dimension eyeshadow duos. So there are 5 different versions of these, and they do look very pretty. They are kind of on the expensive side, but the reviews that I've been hearing so far have been pretty good. I think I am mostly interested in the shade that is brown, that is called Still at the Club, I think. And so I have not seen that one on the Sephora site be restocked, but hopefully it will be restocked before the end of the sale, or maybe I can pick it up on Black Friday if that is not the case. And I do think that the ingredient list for that looks pretty good, so I feel pretty confident that I will be able to wear that one. For eyeliners, I did buy the Kosas Soul Gazer eyeliner, but I do feel like that is creating an eyeline that is a little bit too dramatic for me. It's a fairly pigmented shade, and it's very hard to do a small line with that, so I don't know how much use I will get out of that. I picked up the Sarah Creal Back of the Cab mascara for $40, so hopefully that will be a good mascara. I want to try that one out. And I restocked my Westman Atelier I Want You mascara in brown, so I do have one of those, and I will break that one open at some point. And in terms of lip liners, I think that this one from Saie is not too bad. I just am a little bit put off by the smell of the wood in the product, but other than that, I think it's not too bad. And Glossier, the lip liners from them in terms of natural shades, I think that those are very nice. The Tom Ford lip liner is very expensive at $45, but I've been really impressed with that, and I do enjoy wearing that each time I bring it out. And Kosas has a line of lip liners that are called Hot Liner, and I feel like, first of all, they disappear from my lips really fast, and all the colors really look the same. I tried out all of them in the store, and they just faded down to nothing almost immediately, except for the red one. But in terms of the performance, I haven't been all that impressed. I'll try them on camera at some point. And for lipsticks, in addition to the one that I tried on today, the Nars ones, which are terrific, I think the Sarah Creal lipsticks are also very nice. They are $50 though. And I just tried out one from Makeup by Mario Super Satin Lipstick that was released earlier this year. I hadn't tried it until now because it has fragrance listed. I think that the fragrance may just be like a vanillin, and it doesn't seem terribly objectionable to me, and I think that it could be a lot worse, and so I will wear that from time to time. I really, really like the formula of that lipstick, apart from the scent, and I'd prefer that it not be scented at all, but I do really like the way it performs very much, and I will talk about that in an upcoming Makeup by Mario video. And in terms of liquid lip products, I really, really like the Edam ones, and I have all 5 shades of those now because I picked up a new one. So thank you very much for watching all the way to the end of the video, and I would like to hear from you in terms of whether or not you purchased anything from Sephora, and if you did purchase anything, then I'd like to know how it is working out for you. In addition, if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, then I hope you will go ahead and do that, and Coco and I love you very much, so thank you very much for watching. Goodbye. La ba da la 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 bum